Hello. Hello. Hello.
So people are still joining. Can we give them 5 minutes of time to join?
Okay, sure. Please let me know if I'm audible. Hello.
So you're not audible properly.
Am I audible now?
Yeah, yes. It's clear now.
Okay.
बोर्ड सर बोर्ड
So I think we are good to start.
All right. So just please confirm if I'm audible and the screen is visible.
Yes, sir, everything is fine.
All right. So let's start then. Very good evening, everyone. So we are going to start with this topic of Python with a very basic. So you might have, we can say, saw the posters wherein it has written that there is no prerequisite nickel required. So we'll be covering this from the basics topic to the advanced level. And many of you, if I have not wrong, many of you are not from the technical or non-technical background. So I'll keep it very simple. Okay. So to begin with, I would start with a very introduction of Python, that what exactly a Python programming language is and how exactly it evolves. Okay. I hope the screen is visible. The text is visible, which is written on the notepad. And talking about Python, guys, this is a language which is quite popular nowadays, and most of the people think that it is a very new language or it came into the picture very recently, but it is not that the case. Okay, if you go back in the history, if you check the history of Python programming language, it is way more older than your Java itself. Okay, आपके Java language से भी ज़्यादा पुराना है Python. Okay, how come that happened? So basically, when it comes to Python programming language, there is a person called as Guido van Rissen, who discovered this Python programming language, or you can say started developing it since 1989, and it got released. Okay, it got released in Python version 1. Okay, V1 version 1 in year 1991. Okay, so 1989 में इसको develop करना शुरू किया गया था, 91 में it got released. Okay, and after you can say release of this Python after 4 years, we got a Java language which got released in 1995. Okay, so Python language is even way more older than Java, but at the time of its release in 1991, there were some drawbacks with respect to security, with respect to its efficiency of the language, with respect to the performance of the language. So the programming world has denied, or you can say disregarded, the Python language as a programming language. So they don't used to have this language in their coding, or you can say development aspect. Okay. Now it started growing in year 1997. Okay, from we can say in year 1997, when people, or you can say people from the AI domain or maths domain, wanted a language, a very simple specific language for developing their AI related stuff, for doing some research, and the requirement was they needed a very simple or English like language. Okay, if you compare the syntax of Python and Java, it is way more different. Okay, if you compare the syntax of Python and Java, it is way more different. We can if you see the Python language syntax, it's similar, comparable to English language. Okay, the keyword that it has, the operators that it has, the way it is written, it's like you are speaking in English language to the computer. Okay, so some programmers, research world people needed a language which is similar to English. Okay, so they wanted to invent a new language, to be very specific. But there were some people, or you can say a person, who made them realize that there is no need to recreate something when we already have it. Okay, so what they did is, since Python was released in version 1, okay, since Python was released in version 1, drawbacks. So instead of developing entire new language, what they did is, you can say, fix those bugs which Python has at that moment. Okay, and they introduced Python version 2 at that moment. Right, specific one, efficient one, simple to use and learn one. Okay, so developed entirely new version of Python version 2. Okay, which was again disregarded, or you can say got depreciated in 2019. Okay, आज से तकरीबन 5 साल पहले इसे disregard कर दिया गया. Okay, now we don't use version 2 as well. There is only one Python version that we use, that is version 3. Okay, Python version 3, and that too we are at 3.12. Okay, we are at version 3.12. Okay, so this is the latest version of Python. Now, if you want to download this Python programming language as a software, guys, there are many IDLEs or editors which supports Python. Sublime, Visual Studio, or the Python's official software. You can use any one of them. You can use Anaconda or Jupyter Notebook for that instance. Okay, but considering a beginner into the picture, I always recommend, if you are a new user, you can say if you are a beginner to this Python programming, go to this python.org website. Okay, go to this python.org website. If you just hover on this download button, download navigation bar, there is this Python 3.12.1 ka link. Right, you can easily download this Python software from here. Right, it call itself as IDLE. ये Python का IDLE है. So you can easily download it from here. The installation process is quite simple. You can just have to click next, and it will be already installed in your Python within 1 or 2 minutes. All right, so if you don't have it, go to the website and download it. Since I already have it in my system, okay, if I show you, I'll just go to my Windows, search for P, and here if you see, I have the Python 3.11. Okay, the moment I have installed it in this particular new laptop, the latest version was Python 3.11. So I have this one. So you can go ahead and launch your IDLE or whatever editor you are comfortable with. Okay, all the code will work. Okay, doesn't matter regardless of what editor you are using, Sublime, Visual Studio, Anaconda, Spider, PyCharm, or the same IDLE, the code will work in the same way in each and every editor you are currently using. Okay, but for now we don't need this one. For now we don't need this one. We'll just stick to this part itself. Okay, so as said, Python was developed by this genius Guido van Rossum in year 1991, and it was developed in version 1 format. Okay, then Python version 2 got released, and due to which it reached certain level of popularity in those days. Right, now again there used to be certain comparison between Python and Java, and it is but obvious because doesn't matter what kind of improvement we have made, but we still lack security issues. So alone Python cannot do anything. If you are using Python, just Python programming language, you will not be able to create a scalable, sustainable, efficient product. Okay, so it requires certain libraries, it requires certain modules, it's required certain packages, some external packages which get combined with Python language, and then you can create whatever you want. Okay, so in today's date, if you see, if you remember in what year we got introduced to social media. So in what year the internet era got evolved? In 2003, if you see in that aspect, We got Facebook, we got YouTube, Snapchat, and many of the social media platforms got introduced in those time, 2003, right? And at that moment, every person who is doing business wants to have a website. Okay, you need to understand this aspect of Python, that in that time, at that particular time, 2003, okay, in year 2003, each and every particular person who is online, sorry, who is owning a business wants to come online with a website in order to sell his service or a product. Okay. Now, due to which there was an increase in demand of websites, guys. Since everyone wants to come online, there should be increased in the demand of web developers, right? Website builders, web designers, and also a programming language which can develop it. Okay. Now there were two different groups. Now what group I am talking about? The groups are first group which says I want my website really quickly, tomorrow itself or by evening itself. Do whatever you like, but create my website as soon as possible. This was the first group. Okay. Then there is a second group who says take your time, but give me a secure, classy, and efficient website. Okay. So these were the two requirements at that moment. Now, depending on the requirement, okay, people worked on it, and if the security was the main concern, the programming language which they used was Java. Okay. If they want the website really quickly and it is only a static website with a little backend support, they went for Python. Okay. So you can take an example of a, let's suppose, a web banking website, which is a high-end secure website. Always will be in mostly in the Java programming language. That is what they might have used. And if you want a quick website, Python, what they prefer. Okay. So this was a small history of Python. Now moving ahead, if I just talk about what are the features of Python, right? So what are the features of Python? You can say simple feature that it is very easy and simple to use. Regardless whether you are from technical background or non-technical background, if you want to start your IT journey, IT career, Python language is very simple and easy to start with. Okay. Doesn't matter if you have worked in IT or CS or not, whether you have studied IT or CS subjects in your curriculum or not. If you want to just start programming or start into IT career or switch into IT career, Python is a very flexible language to start with. Okay. Second, Python is very open source, free software. Okay. So many softwares are, you might have heard this, they are paid. You need to have some monthly subscriptions or some charges like that. But when it comes to Python software, it is completely free and open source. What do you mean by open source? Open source means you can just have the community license. And if you want to contribute into Python's development, right? If you want to improve Python language, you can do so. Right, but just writing an email that I want to be a community developer or I want to contribute into Python language, you can easily contribute it. So that is what open source means. Okay. Then we have the third feature, which is very simple, like it is very it has a support of dynamic libraries. Okay. Dynamic libraries. Now, what do I mean by dynamic libraries? As I said, Python alone cannot do anything, right? Python alone cannot do anything. It needs certain libraries, certain packages, something by which it can combine with and create you a high-end, secure, and reliable product. Okay, so just giving you a number, Python has 1 lakh plus libraries with it. Just because it is open source, so many developers across the globe contribute their code in Python programming language, due to which it has some or other libraries, some or the other modules or packages in every single domain in the IT industry. If you want to do a data science thing, they have certain libraries like NumPy, Pandas, Matplotlib, Seaborn, and something like that. If you want to have something in machine learning, they have something called as sklearn. If you want to go in deep learning and computer vision, all those things, AI like stuff, they have something called as TensorFlow, then PyTorch, Keras, right? So these are the libraries which we have for each and every single purpose, whatever we would like to have. If you want to connect this Python programming to a database, they have PyMySQL, SQLite 3. If you want to connect it with, you can say server side and server side scripting, they have some NetworkX like module. For IoT device, it has separate modules, right? So it doesn't matter which industry you want to work with, Python has one or another module or package for each and every industry IT has. Okay. So it has a very vast, you can say, set of libraries, due to which I said it a dynamic. Then the next feature which I like is it supports both POP and OOP. Okay. It supports both POP and OOP. Now, what exactly POP and OOP means? So POP means it's procedural oriented programming. Okay. Procedural oriented programming, and OOP means object oriented programming. Now, what is the difference between two? Majorly when it comes to procedural oriented programming or POP, the low level language or mid level language follows that structure, right? And mostly all the high level language has the support of object oriented programming. Now, what exactly is the main difference between those two? If you have an object oriented programming support, it reduces your lines of code. It avoids the repetition of work that you do in your coding. Okay, so it basically reduces your programming effort. It reduces the number of lines that you write in order to create a software or product. Okay, that is what the difference between OOP and POP is. So it follows the procedure step by step instruction, and it works object oriented, works on object and classes thing. All right. So that is one thing that again Python has. Apart from that, the next feature that we have is called as extensible. Okay. Python is an extensible programming language. Now, what do I mean by extensible? So when I say extensible, it basically means, okay, it can extend itself to some other programming language, some other libraries or packages that we have. For example, if you want to work on a website, it is very much essential to have something called as HTML and CSS in your website, right? Which provides a structure and beauty to your website. Correct? But again, you are working in programming, Python programming. So how come you can join HTML, CSS with your Python programming? That is where extensible feature works. Okay. It gives you the ability to combine with some other package, some other modules or some other scripting language or markup language. HTML and CSS is a markup language, and this feature extensible gives you the ability to combine with those languages. Okay. It will help you to combine your Python code with HTML. It will help you to combine your Python code with, let's suppose, if you want, you can use C language in your Python language using something called as Python. Okay, so this is also an important feature. Okay. So these are the 5 top features due to which Python is this much popular. Okay. Apart from that, if I go ahead and tell you that what exactly or what are the industries where currently Python is being used. So areas where Python, or you can say companies using Python, I would the title would be. So companies using Python. Okay. I tell you, like the very first company that we have is called YouTube. So YouTube का जो 30% code है, right? So 30% code of YouTube is written in Python language. Okay. The very first website that uses Python, YouTube. Apart from that, there is something called as Dropbox. So this is a product which again uses Python for storage purpose. Okay. Then again, your Google uses Python for its search engine, right? In order to enhance and make your search effective, Google use Python in their search engines. Then apart from that, if you might have heard about this website called Pinterest, it's a website where you can get certain images, some good images, right? For marketing, branding, or you can say your wallpapers or any purpose, maybe your projects. So this is a website which is completely developed in Python and Django language. Django framework, sorry. So entirely developed in Python. Your Instagram uses Python for its, you can say, beauty. Okay. Apart from that, we have something called as Reddit, which is entirely developed in Python, just like Pinterest. Okay, so these are the top 5 companies which are using currently Python language. There are many more. So if I have to list, there are many more than this, right? And what are the areas you can go? Okay. So if you're using Python programming language, you can work with consoles applications. So you can develop some good console based application. Okay. If you're using Python, you can definitely create something called as web based application. Web based apps using some libraries called as Flask, Django. Then we have Streamlight. Okay. There are many more web application frameworks that we have. So if you want to learn Python for web application or developing a website, you can definitely do that. So Python programming with these frameworks and modules, it definitely will help you to create a website, a good website. Okay. My personal favorite is this Streamlight because it is very simple and within some minutes you can create your website. The second favorite is Flask and last option is Django because Django gives you full-fledged website. It takes little time as compared to Streamlight. But again, it will give you a full-fledged website which you can actually host. Right. Then apart from that, if you want to work in data science or AI, we definitely have certain modules, certain packages with respect to that. Then robotics and automation. If you have heard these tools called as PyAuto GUI, Selenium, it works on automation. And for robotics and IoT devices, we have separate set of modules. So these are the areas where currently Python is being used. Not only this, if you want to use for its server side scripting for networking, you can definitely do that as well. Okay. Even for hacking purpose, for cybersecurity, Python is getting utilized in Kali Linux. It's called Black Hat Python. So these are the, you can say, a basic theoretical introduction of Python, that what exactly Python is and what are the things that you can achieve if you're using a Python language. Okay, and again, I'm not here to increase the hype of Python even more. Right? Python is good a language, but I'll present you in a way that what exactly Python it is. Okay, I'll share both drawbacks when it comes to security. Okay, it has certain drawbacks, but I'll also share the advantages when it comes to speed and efficiency. So it is very effective in, you can say, efficient language. Python, right? Now let's come to the main part, the actual part for which we are currently here, right? So from where to start, right? From where to start? What exactly the starting point is? If you want to learn a language or learn a programming language, so at what point you should start? Guys, always remember when it comes to IT industry, so IT industry always, not today, but always in the past as well, it is many a times it evolved. So there is a code which has been very popular that you have to constantly update yourself, update your knowledge if you're working in IT, right? आपको आपके thoughts को, आपके language को, आपके can say problem solving skills को improve करते रहना पड़ेगा if you want to be in IT industry. That is what they say. Now why this is and what is related to with Python or currently this session? My point is, doesn't matter currently you guys are learning Python, but hopefully tomorrow you will be in your dream companies. You will be working on certain projects, right? And let's suppose there is a requirement of learning some new language, some other language apart from Python. Let's suppose there is a project, you are hired as a developer and there is a project in Java and they need you. They need some people who are good in coding, who are good in problem solving, right? They need these kind of people. And you cannot say no. Definitely you are working in an organization, so definitely you cannot say no that I will not work on Java. I'm only comfortable with Python itself, right? So what would you do? Okay. What are the things that you require if you want to learn very basic things in Python? Okay. Or any language for that matter. If you want to learn any language, regardless of what, in which year, in which part of the country. So these are the three things that you should look for or you should learn first if you want to learn a programming language. Okay. First, always cover the very basic thing that what exactly the data types are. Okay. What are all the data types that this programming language has? What is the meaning of data type? Second, what is this term called as variable? Right? What exactly the rules of defining a variable? And lastly, the third, it's called as expression. So how to write an expression in a language? So I'm not talking with respect to Python. I'm talking in very generic format. Doesn't matter what language you want to learn in future. If you just follow these three things, you will be able to get the full of it. Okay. You will actually understand the basic that how exactly the language work. Okay. Today Python is popular. Maybe tomorrow there will be some other language, right? And if you want to start learning that, so where to start? You have to start from these three things: data type, variable, and expression. Okay, so we'll start from here itself. So we'll start from here at this point: data type, variable, and expression. Okay, so what is a data type? What exactly data type means? So data type is nothing but it is called as category of values. Okay, data type is nothing but a category of values. Now, what category of values I am talking about? Okay. So guys, every programming language has certain values. Initially, if you see very basic level, computer does not understand English, Hindi, or any other regional language or exotic languages. Okay, computer only understands two things, 0 and 1. That is called as binary language. Apart from that, it does not understand anything. Okay. Due to which, when we have evolved the concepts of programming language and compilers and interpreters, right? We created these things called as values. That this is numeric value, this is something else value, this is something else values. Right. Now, what are the values we have and what category do they do that value belongs? We need to study that. So data type is nothing but study of categories of values. Okay. It is a category of values, nothing else. Now the name is little weird, but it simply means category of values or classification of values, whatever you call it. Okay. If you have studied maths in your 10th and 11th, you might have came across these number system thing, right? Wherein you have this whole number which started from 0 to plus infinity. Okay, so each and every value within this range 0 to plus infinity is tagged as whole number. Then we have natural number which starts from 1 to plus infinity. So every value which belongs to this range is tagged as a natural number, right? So in the similar fashion, we do have something called as values or data types here in programming languages as well. In maths, we have something called as integer number. Okay, what are the integer numbers? The range belongs minus infinity to plus infinity. Similarly, here in data types, we have integer. Okay, again, same range, minus infinity to plus infinity. Okay, so this topic will inform you that what are the different types of value we can use here in language. Since we are studying Python language, so what are the different data types of values that we can utilize in this particular Python language? So data type means study of values. Okay. Now, when it comes to Python, Python has a huge variety of data types. So let's dive one by one. Okay. So firstly, in Python, data types is categorized into two different parts. Okay. The very first one is called as immutable data type. And second is called as mutable data type. Okay. Immutable and mutable data type. Okay. Now, what do you mean by mutable or immutable? So immutable means once you have created a modify it. Okay. Once you have created a value, once you have created something, you cannot add, update, delete, or modify it. So immutable data types are static data type. It's basically fixed data type. There is no change can be made once created. Okay. These are immutable. On the other hand, mutable can be modified. So it is dynamic in nature. Okay. Changes and modifications can be performed in this. This is mutable and immutable. So immutable, if you're creating a value, you cannot change it. It will be remain static. When it comes to mutable, if you have created it, you can perform changes like you can update the value, you can add some new value to it, you can replace the value, you can perform any kind of modification you like. But is not being followed for immutable. Okay, so this is the major two categorization of data type. Now here again there are three subcategories. The first, second, and then we have the third one. So one is called as, let's say, numbers or numeric. Second one is called as, let's say, string. And third one in immutable called as tuples. Okay, so these are the three different varieties or subcategories of values: numbers, string, and tuples or tuples, some people call it. Now, what are numbers? So again, numbers are divided into further categories. First one is called as integer. Generally, we refer it as int for integer. Okay. Again, here, if you see any number, so this is currently I have opened the Python editor, the ideally thing. So this is integer number. Okay. Any number that you type, doesn't matter it's positive or negative. As I said, the integer range belongs minus infinity to plus infinity. Okay. So it is nothing but integer number. Now, how do I say that it is an integer number? When it comes to Python language, it has something called as functions. Okay. So there is this inbuilt function called as type. So if you ask Python that what exactly the type of this number 10, okay, it will tell you that it belongs to class integer. So this number 10 belongs to int category or int class. Okay. Similarly, if I just type again minus 234, it will tell me that again it belongs to an integer class. Because as I said, any number between minus infinity to plus infinity belongs to integer. Okay, so integer is nothing but any number that falls between that range is an integer number. Okay, there is only one exception, that it should not has any decimal point in it. If you add decimal point, it becomes the next category, that is called as float category. Okay, the next category that number has is called as float. Now, what is the difference between integer and float? So integer is just 9. It is an integer number. But if you want to create a float, you have to add something after decimal point. So let's suppose 9 and 9.0. Okay, so that is a float number, right? That is a float number, decimal point number. Okay. Now check 9.0 is again comes float. So both 9 and 9.0 is equal. But if you go category wise, it is different, right? If you go category wise, it is different, right? So this is how we can say data type is categorized. So if you add, we can say decimal points after numbers, it will become float. If you just keep writing the numbers like it will come in integer category. All right, just give me a minute. Okay, extremely sorry, there was a call. So this is how numbers are categorized. So any number without a decimal point is called as integer. Any number with decimal point is called as float. So let's suppose 8.12 is a float number. So if you just check the type, right? If you just check the type, so 8.12 will give you float. And if you just check only without a decimal, that is 8, it will give you integer. Okay. So the moment you add decimal point and write some numbers to it, it becomes float value. Without a decimal point, it will give integer value. Right. So that is two different subcategories in number data type or numeric data type, right? So these are the two major categories here. Now, moving to the next data type. Okay. Now, further, there are many more. I mean, when it comes to numbers, there is something called as complex as well. There is also called as Boolean, which is again subcategory of number itself. But these are the two major ones. Okay. Now, what is string? So as I said, guys, computer does not understand anything apart from numbers. Okay, computer does not anything apart from numbers, so everything is a number for a computer. Okay, so it doesn't matter what you write, your name, your email address, XYZ, anything, it will not be, I mean, computer will not be able to recognize it. If you do 2 plus 2, it will definitely give you some value as a mathematic calculation or arithmetic calculation, but it will not be able to recognize that what exactly JAY or you can say any name is or any email address is. Okay, so for that instance, in order to make it understand, we have created something called as a string. Now, what exactly the string is? What is the definition? The string is nothing but sequence of characters. Okay, just remember, string is nothing but sequence of characters. All right, sequence of character that begins and ends with quotation mark. Right, the definition of a string is sequence of character that begins and ends with quotation mark. Now, make sure that you heard it right. I said characters, not alphabets. So alphabets are very different than a character. What is a character? Everything that you can see on your keyboard is a character. Even numbers are character at once. Okay. Numbers falls into character. Your symbols, exclamatory, hash, at the rate, dollar sign, percents are character. Punctuation mark. What are punctuation mark? Comma, inverted comma, full stop, slash, question mark. These are nothing but your punctuation marks, right? Also your alphabets, A, B, C, D. It also falls into character. Okay, so when I'm saying character, it means everything that you are able to see on your keyboard. So if you use those character with double, single or triple quote in Python, you can definitely create a string. For example, if I have to write my name, so my name is Mrityunjay. So I definitely have to use quotation mark. What quotation mark? You can use either one. You can use single quote like this, or double quote, right? So as I said, string is nothing but sequence of characters, right? Sequence of character that begins and ends with a quotation mark, right? And if you just go ahead and use your type function and write a string here, Mrityunjay, it will give you that it belongs to a str category, str class, that means string category. So in a short form way, abbreviation way, string is being referred as str in Python. All right. So just before moving ahead, can you just let me know, is it clear to everyone? Admin, if you are here, can you please allow me the chat access?
1 minute, sir. I'll check it.
If there's any doubt, what is string, what is numbers, mutable data type.
Sir, Q&A is enabled, sir.
All right. All right, guys, let me know. Yes or no?
Sir, I'll let you know if there is a question, sir. You continue.
May I know how many people are attending this?
Currently 230 to 250 members are there, sir.
All right. So just keep me posted if there is any question arise.
Okay.
So moving ahead. So this is what we call as string, sequence of character that begins and end with a quotation mark. Again, I'm repeating this part every time just because many a time if we just say, let's suppose if you are in an interview and the interviewer asked you that what exactly string is, many people say since we many a times use double quote, they we can say quickly say sequence of character that begins and ends with double quotes. Now this is the point where interview gets an opportunity to cross question that can't be created from single string or sorry single quote or triple quote. So at that moment maybe you get fumble, right? So do not give that opportunity to the interviewer, right? Always use quotation mark. Okay, don't say single quote or double quote or triple quote, just use the word quotation mark, because using all three, using single quote, using double quote, using triple quote, we can definitely create a string. So single quote is this example, so we have created that. Okay, and then double quote, we have created the string again. And then if you want you can create it with a triple quote as well. So you can say this is a string. Now, what are the benefits? See, let's suppose if I use single quote and there is a sentence called as let's play. Okay. As per the definition, what is string? String is a sequence of character that begins and ends with a quotation mark, right? And now I have created a single quote. Using a single quote, this string has been created. This is apostrophe s, right? This is an apostrophe s. I have not finished the string. The end part is over here. But your Python language or the compiler recognizing this apostrophe as a single quote. Right. Now if I hit enter here, this will give me a syntax error saying unexpected terminate indentation. Okay. Due to which we use double quotes. Let's play, right? Which makes this you can say single quote get escaped, right? So that is the reason we many a times prefer double quote while writing you can say Python string. This can be also been done using forward slash. Let's suppose I use this itself. If I just use backward slash, this apostrophe gets ignored. So forward slash means ignore a character after this, right? So if you add a forward slash, this apostrophe will get ignored. It will not considered as a closing quote, right? So either you can use forward slash or either you can use double quote for creating your strings, right? So these are the differences that quote has. What are the triple quote means? So triple quotes are nothing but if you want to create multi-line string. Let's suppose I want to write line 1, line 2, line 3 one by one, right? Line 1, line 2, line 3 one by one. So if I write this is line 1 and if I hit enter, I just want to go in new line. but it will say it will assume that I am finishing the string and it will give me error. So this cannot happen using single quote. It can neither be happen using double quote. So this is line, let's suppose 1 if I write, and if I hit enter, it will again consider that I'm closing or completing the sentence, but I'm not, I'm just going in the new line. Okay, but we can do it using triple quote. So if I want to line a multi-line string, I repeat, it is called as multi-lined string. Right? If I want to just go in a new line, so line 1, this is line 2, this is line 3. This is what I wanted previously as well, but it will not allow, single quote and double quote will not allow to go in new line once you are using single and double quotes. If you want to go in new line, you have to use something called as triple quote for creating a multi-line string. So now I have closed in line 3, and if I hit enter, this will give me this particular part. Right. So if you have created a multi-line string, why it is giving you in a single line? And what is this \n? So in Python, \n is considered as equals to new line. So every time you want to say go to new line, you have to use \n. Okay. This red line hashtag, this is for comments. Okay, and hashtag is for comments. Now what are comments? Comments are nothing but notes. If you want to create notes between your programs, between your lines, we use hashtags. Right? So if you want to display this in a line by line manner, you can do it using this print function. Just like a type function, we have something called as print. Print helps us to display something on your screen. Right? If you want to display output on your screen, you will use print function. Right? So I just use the same thing. Is sorry, triple quotes to start. This is line 1. This is line 2. This is line 3. So now if I just close the brackets of print statement and if I hit enter, you will definitely get this is line 1, this is line 2, line 3 in 3 different lines. As I said, print function is used to display something, some piece of information on your console as an output. Okay. So until here we have learned what is, you can say, Python is, what are the features of Python, what are the areas where Python is getting utilized. Then if you want to go into Python language or any language for that matter, these are the 3 things that you need. You have to study data type, variable, expression. Then we dived straight away in data type part. We learned what exactly data type is. It is nothing but category of values. Then we got introduced to mutable and immutable data types, that what are the mutable data type, what are the immutable data types are. Then we have numbers, string, tuples, immutable data types. And further in mutable, we have other set of values. Right. Then in numbers, we have integer and floats. And when it comes to string, we have the definition goes like it is a sequence of character that begins and ends with quotation mark. Right now, moving ahead with tuples. So what are tuples? Okay. What are tuples? So tuples are nothing but, when it comes to a proper systematic technical definition, tuples are nothing but values separated by commas. It can be any value. It can be string. It can be numbers. It can be float. It can be mixed. Right? Any values, but it should be separated by commas. Right? 1, 2, 3. These are 3 values separated by commas. This will create a tuple for you. Tuple will always be, you can say, symbolized with you can say round brackets. Just like we use quotation mark for string, we use round brackets for tuples. Okay. So the technical definition will become something like it is a collection of values. Okay, collection of values. Why? Because it is actually in the format of a collection, right? Then collection of values separated by what? Separated by comma. Okay, so collection of values separated by comma and surrounded by round brackets. Right? So collection of values separated by comma surrounded by round bracket. That is what the definition is. Now, if you want to make it more technical, explain what are the different values we can have in tuples. Like, as I said, you can have similar type of value. This is the numbers itself, which means homogeneous. So collection of homogeneous or mixed values, like there is an integer, now there is a string, and there is a float value. So this is a mixed collection, which is called as heterogeneous. So collection of homogeneous or heterogeneous values separated by commas and surrounded by round brackets. So these are the three parts. Whenever you have to define tuple, remember this definition. Okay. Collection of homogeneous and heterogeneous values separated by commas and surrounded by round brackets. That is what tuple is. Next, apart from that, we have something called as mutable data type. Now, in mutable data types, again, there are three different subcategories, which are, we call it something list. We have something called as dictionary, and we have something called as set. Okay, so these are the three different data type in mutable. Now, when it comes to list and tuple, guys, okay, the definition is exact same for list and tuple. The only difference is the brackets. So where tuple has the round brackets, list has the square brackets. Okay, so if you just write the same thing in a list, sorry, in a square brackets, this is nothing but a list. Even you can check by using your type function. You can just have 1, 2, 3, close your tuple, then close your type function. This will give you class tuple. Then again, you have the square brackets, 1, 2, 3, close your list and close your type. This will give you list class. Okay, so these are the same numbers, but due to brackets, it belongs to different class. It belongs to different category. Now, if both are same, so why do we need the two different data types? Why not one? Because if you see, the very basic difference between tuple and list is we cannot perform any changes. We cannot perform any operations on tuples. Whereas if you have certain numbers which can be updated, which will be updated in future, you can have it in a list format instead of tuple. Okay, so we cannot update tuple, but we can definitely modify the list. That is why we need both. Right, some values will not be changed. For example, let's take an example of scorecard. But definitely student's name will remain same, right? No student will change the name in every semester or every section in first standard, second standard, third standard. Once the name is given by their parents, it will be fixed till lifelong, right? So that kind of value which will remain constant till the end, that kind of value can be defined in tuples, whereas the scores which will differ, which will change in every semester or every examination, that kind of value can be stored in a list. Okay, so this is a very basic difference between tuples and list. Okay, the definitions are exactly the same, the brackets are different. Okay, and due to that brackets, both falls under two different categories. One is immutable and second one is mutable. All right. Then we have something called as dictionary. So how do we create a dictionary? So guys, dictionary is not a collection of just values. It is a collection of key value pairs. What do I mean by this? So it has a key which holds a value. Let's suppose A is the key and 10 is the value. B is the key, 20 is the value. C is the key, 30 is the value. Okay, so and it is surrounded by curly braces. This is what dictionary is. This is how we create a dictionary. This is how we create a dictionary. It is a collection of key value pairs. Now it is not necessary that every time you have to use string in the key. We can have numbers as well. For example, 1. Okay, we can have 1 is J, right, separated by comma. Then we have, sorry, 2 is the key. Then the second number is Kumar. 3 is the key. And third number is, let's say, Vijay. These are nothing but dictionaries. Why we have written the double quote? Because it is a string value. So if it is not a string, you can definitely write directly, just like I have written these numbers. Every time you want to create a string, you have to write it in a in a quotation mark, whether it is double quote, whether it is a single quote. Okay. So when it comes to a dictionary, so it is nothing but dictionary is a collection of key value pairs, again separated by comma and surrounded by curly braces or brackets, right? So it is very easy to define these array types. Okay, I never followed the bookish or the definition which is you can say present on the internet. Just look at the data type, that how it has been represented, what exactly it do, and how does it look, right? And create your own definition. Okay, create your own definition. That is how it works. You can never by heart a language, guys. You can never do that. Understand it, right? This is how we defined dictionary. It is a collection of key value pair separated by comma, surrounded by curly braces, which actually it is, right? Now, one thing that we have in dictionary, see, if you create list and you have repetitive elements, for example, if you see 1 is written 3 times, no matter, it will give you the result. Similar for if you have repetitive elements in list, it will not, you can say, matter more. It will give you the same. But in the case of, let's say, a dictionary, the keys should always be unique. We have A is 10 here. Now if I again create a key for A, right, and give the value 100, it will not accept, and instead it will assume that we are not creating a new key value pair. Instead of that, it will assume that we are updating the previous value of the key. Okay. Although I'm not doing it, I am purposely creating the duplicate key value pair, but it will not accept. So what it will do? It will update the previous value. So if I just run this, you can see this, there is only one A and the previous value 10 is got updated with 100. And one more line here where keys must be unique in nature. Again, keys should be unique in nature, right? So always define the things in the way that it actually is. That is your list, tuple, dictionary, and string. Last, we have something called as set. Again, like your, you can say, list and tuple, we can write numbers, and like your dictionary, we use curly brackets for set. Okay, we use curly brackets for set. So just like your tuple, just like your list, you can have these numbers directly. Now this is a set. Again, one limitations here is that you cannot have repetitive elements. It will not count the repetitive elements. I have mentioned 1 3 times, but it will include only 1. So it will remove the duplicates element. Okay. The nature of set is to have a unique element in it, right? The reason to create a set is to maintain uniqueness in the collection. Okay, so it will always consider the unique elements and it will remove the duplicate values. That is what set is. Okay, that is what set is. So I hope, I'm so sorry, let me give the definitions as well. So set.
Sir,
Yeah.
hello, sir. There are a few questions being asked, sir. Once open Q&A session, Q&A one, so in your laptop.
Okay, just a minute.
Not the chat box, sir. Okay, sir. I think it's not showing for you. I'll read the questions.
All right.
What happens when both values and values are same for keys? What happens when both values are same and keys are different?
All right. So if the values are same, that's fine. But key must be unique. For example, if I do this, let's say in here, if I use a value D and keep the key D and keep the value 10, it's completely all right. No issues. As per the definition, as per the nature, only keys should be unique. Okay. Next one.
And the next one is, in some programming language like R, string is nothing but character, right? But in Python, string equals to a collection of characters. Is it correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Yeah,
Mostly when it comes to any programming language, be it Python, be it Java, be it you can say R, the definition for string is always be sequence of character only. The collection are meant to have more than one value in it. We have the programming language where there is a completely different data type called as character as well, where it will only have only one single value. Doesn't matter what, but there will be only one single value. Like if you go and check in C and C++, there is a data type called as char, which only has the capacity to hold only one value in it. Let's suppose only one letter, or only one number or only one punctuation and symbol. But if you are saying string, it specifically means sequence of characters. But again, if you just go and read the documentation of R, it is meant for data analysis. Majorly, the R language is meant for data analysis. Right? It deals with a single value. Maybe that's the reason it has that particular definition. But again, it also accepts this definition of sequence of characters. I hope the question is resolved. Any other questions?
No, sir, you can continue.
All right. So set. So collection.
So there is a question.
Yes.
What is the difference between remove and discard function?
So we have not been reached at that moment. Okay. So at the time when we'll cover basic operations and method on these data type, we'll definitely come to it. Okay. If you're free to ask anything what we have covered till now. I'm not saying no to any question. It's just that many people who have joined might have not prior knowledge to understand what is append in list or what is format in string or what is update in dictionary or discard in the other method in set. So that is the reason I would avoid this question at this moment. Either you can wait after the session, we can answer that. All right.
Yes, sir, you can continue.
So collection of values, or I would say collection of unique values separated by comma and surrounded by curly brackets. Now here guys, now since the collections and the data type part is finished, I would just walk you to the differences very quickly. Okay, so majorly these are the collections, right? Majorly if you just see here, these are your collections. Just a minute, let me change the color. So these are your collections. String is a collection of values, or against a sequence of string, whatever you call it. Tuple is again collection of values, list is collection of values, set is collection of value, dictionary is a collection of key value pair. So these are the collections, right? Now here as well, there are categories in collection also. Okay, there are category in collection also. Now what are those categories? So there is a category called as ordered category. Okay. Ordered category. Then we have intersectional category or intersectional collection, and there is unordered collection. Okay. Whereas what are the differences or what are the data types that belongs to these? So string, tuple and list belongs to ordered collection. Dictionary belongs to intersectional collection, and set belongs to unordered collection. Now what exactly do we mean by ordered, intersectional or unordered? So guys, whenever you define a collection like this, regardless of brackets, so I'm not using any bracket, instead I'm using a pipe, right? I'm using a pipe here. So it doesn't matter what values you have, let's suppose 1, 2 and 3 or 4 and 5, right? Every value has a position number. So 1 is at position 0, 2 is at position 1 and 3 is at position 2, right? 4 is at position 3 and 5 is at position 4. right? So every value in a collection, regardless it is a string, it is tuple, it is dictionary or a list, it has a position number. Okay, and we can access the element. We can access this one using this 0. Okay, so basically, generically, if I say we can access each and every element, each and every value present in the collection using the position number, which is also called as index number in programming. Okay, so if it is an ordered collection, right, you can access it. If it is unordered collection, you cannot access the element using position number. Okay, so if I just give you a quick example in this interpreter here, right? So if I create a variable, if I create a 1, 2, 3 tuple here and save it in a variable x using this index number 0, as I have shown here in the diagram. So 1 is at 0th position always. So the numbering or position system in a collection, regardless string, tuple, list, will always start with a 0. Numbering or position system or index number system will always start from 0 value. Okay, so if I want to access 1, 1 is at position number 0, so I can easily access it. Also in a string, if I create a string, let's suppose this is a string, okay, a normal string, and if I want to access the first element, I can have this 0. Okay, t is the first element here. Likewise, if I have to do in dictionary, I cannot, because it is an intersectional collection, so I cannot access the element using index number. Similarly, set is an unordered collection, so I cannot access the element using position number. Okay, let us first understand ordered and unordered. So ordered collection are those where we can access the element and using index numbers. Unordered collection are those where we cannot access the elements using index number. Okay, where we cannot access using the index number. Okay, so these are the difference between ordered and unordered. So what is intersectional? Here we don't use index number, but we definitely use the key. So if I use this dictionary D here, right, so we can have the key name here to access the key value pair. So to access the value, right, that is called as indexing. Okay, these things which I'm doing using the square brackets, this is called as indexing. Indexing doesn't matter if you are doing in tuple. For indexing purpose, you have to use square bracket. Doesn't matter it is string. For indexing, you have to use square bracket again. Doesn't matter it is dictionary. If you are performing indexing operation, you can have to use square brackets only. It is an operational thing, not data type. It is not at all related with data type if you are using in operations. Okay. So how come dictionary is different and we have put it intersection? See, what was ordered collection? If I just write it, it has two major conditions. First, we can access the elements. Condition 1. Second, using position number or index number. But in dictionary, we can access, yes, we can access the element. But really with index number or position number, no. In dictionary, the second condition does not satisfy. We are not accessing the value using number. Instead, we are using key. The name of the key is being used to access the element. That is why we have put it in an intersectional collection. Okay. So you got a point. After definition, you can say that string is an ordered collection, or tuple is an ordered collection, list is an ordered collection, dictionary is an intersectional collection, and set is an unordered collection. Okay, so this is all about the data type. Now coming to the part that what exactly this is, why this is working, what is this X and what is this D here. This was the second topic that I had to cover, which is nothing but variables. Okay, now what are variables? Variables are nothing but a name. Okay, please understand this. Variable are nothing but a name that represents or refers a value. A very generic, lame definition. Variable is a name that represents or refers a value. Many people also say that variable is a container that stores a value. I don't mind. This is also correct. This is also perfect. Why? Because it is very obvious that we are storing this particular string in this variable X. Okay, and whenever I call X, it will give back me that value. Whenever I call D, this will give the entire dictionary to me. So entire dictionary is getting stored in this one single name called as D. Entire string is got saved in one single name called as X. That is why I say variable is just a name that represents or refers to a value, and that value can be anything. It can be an integer number, it can be a string, it can be a float value, it can be a tuple, dictionary or set, anything. So if you see the big picture, it is a container that stores a value. So I hope the two topics, that is data type and variables, is got clears and covered. Is it clear? Please everyone comment.
So there is a doubt. So here,
Yeah.
is there any other data types present in Python, or is it limited to these only?
So these are the built-in data types that a language has. Apart from that, if I show you this diagram here, as I said earlier as well, there is also something called as complex. If you remember in your mathematics of 11th standard, there is this concept of complex number, which is this nothing but equation. Let's suppose 3 plus 4i, correct? The imaginary number thing. So this equation is also created in Python as well, but not using I, but using J. Here, imaginary number is the J value. Okay, but earlier when the Python was made, this data type was introduced. We also have this at this current moment, but we don't use it just because we got to have many advanced functions, many optimized version of this complex number in NumPy module or SciPy module. So we don't use this complex data type here. Okay, the name of the data type is complex. Okay, apart from that, we also have something called as Boolean data type, which also covers the number only. So Boolean is also a data type. Numerically, it is represented as 0 and 1. So 0 means nothing but false. Okay, so false, and 1 represents true. So this is also a data type here in Python. It is called as Boolean data type. Okay, apart from this, earlier in the previous versions, currently also we have it, but we don't create it just like that, like list, dictionary and set. There is the immutable data type called as frozen set. Okay, called as frozen, FROZEN, frozen set. Okay, it's a function. It's a function like print function, like type function. We have a frozen set function as well, which is again an immutable version of your set function, set data type. Okay, just like if you consider list as mutable version of tuple, right? We have frozen set, the immutable version of set. Okay, so these are the three additional data types that we have in built-in data types of Python. When it comes to user-defined data types, we have stack, we have queue, we have linked list, we have tree, we have graph, n number of data structures that we have in the programming language. But built in, these are the 6 things that we have, and we use it majorly. You will not find yourself using complex. I can guarantee that. You will not find yourself using frozen set. I can guarantee that too. Okay.
Sir,
Any other
another
question?
doubt.
Yeah.
Sir, can you tell me the rules about how to create a variable name?
Yeah, definitely. So I was coming to that part. So here's the definition, as I said. Now there were 4 rules. There were 4 rules. Rule number 1. Okay. Rule number 1. The name should always be at left side. Then there is an equals to and there is a value. If you want to create a variable, so like x is equals to 3 is a variable. The variable name should always be left hand side and value to the right hand side. Then we have the next rule. The name should always starts with letters. Okay, so I should write it completely. So variable name should always start with a letter. Okay, just like first name is equals to Mrityunjay. The first name is equals to Mrityunjay. So it always starts with letter. You cannot start one name equals Mrityunjay. It will give you an error if I just show you here. Okay, so one name is equals to Jay, error. Two name is equals to Kumar, it will give you an error. But vice versa is possible. If you start with a letter, end with a number, it's completely fine. It's completely fine. Name 2. Name 1 को call कर रहे हैं, name 2 को call कर रहे हैं. That is completely fine. But it always should start with a letter. Always start a variable name with a letter only. Again, underscore is an exception. You can also start with an underscore. It always start with a letter. Then third rule, variable name must be of one word. Okay, you cannot have more than one word in a name. For example, if you see this example of first name, so you cannot write it like first space name equals Mrityunjay. Right? The moment you give a space, it becomes 2 different words and it will give you error. Okay, either you join it or you can use underscore, but you cannot have space in between. No white space in between the name of the variable. So it should always be in one word, not more than one word. So keep that thing in mind. Okay, that is the very third rule. So if I demonstrate you, so first space name is equals to J, it will again give you error. So you can, as I said, you can join it, make it in a one word, single word. It will definitely work for you. All right. And do not, fourth rule, not use any special symbol, keyword or function name as variable name. For example, we all know type is a function. If you see, it now got in the pink color. So pink color represent it is a built-in function, right? So you cannot have like this is j. So you cannot make it a variable. Similarly, we have many keywords like and is a keyword, is a keyword, in is a keyword, or is a keyword. Again, true is a keyword, false is a keyword. You cannot use these keyword as a variable name. Okay. Similarly, as I said, functions cannot be utilized as a variable name. Okay. At the rate is not been utilized in the variable name. Exclamatory or hashtag should not be utilized in variable name. Only underscore is an exception. You can have underscore is equals to j. That will work. Apart from this one underscore, whatever value you will use, you will get error. These are the 4 rules while defining a variable. You have to note it down. If you want, I'll just share the notes of this particular thing with the admin. You can collect it from that person. Okay. Is there any question?
Can set also store heterogeneous values?
Yeah, definitely. You can have that thing in set as well. So if I create 1a and 1.1, which is a float value, it will definitely work. I'm so sorry if I just forgot to write that. So unique homogeneous HM, I just write it, and HT for heterogeneous. So unique homogeneous or heterogeneous value separated by comma surrounded by curly braces. That is it. Any other questions?
Yes, so they are done. You can continue.
So I think that's it for today. We'll meet for tomorrow for the further session, wherein we'll cover the next part, which is the conditional statement, if else, for loop, while loop, function, and your file handling.
Sir, I have mailed you one scanner, sir. Can you please screen share that? That's for attendance of the event.
Just let me check.
I request everybody to scan that and give your attendance. Then you will be receiving your certificate.
So this is a scanner, guys. You can have a check.
Everybody, please fill this. And thank you, sir, for this amazing session.
The pleasure is mine. Thank you so much.
So we will. So can you please say again the topics that you'll be discussing tomorrow?
So we will be covering if else, loop, functions, and file handling tomorrow. And I'll try to keep my schedule a little free. We'll take 2 hours session for tomorrow. Okay. Currently, I have one meeting at 8 o'clock. That's why I'm leaving it. As we all know, the session is from 6 p.m. to 7:30. And one more thing, I request everyone. Today, I had wasted my 10 to 15 minutes because many people were joining. But I request everyone to be present tomorrow exactly at 6 p.m. so that we can start and the time should not get wasted. All right, so that's a humble request from my side to everyone. Please be on time tomorrow. We'll take 2 hours session, 6 to 8, right? And we'll wrap with the file handling part tomorrow. All right.
So may I leave? I just have a small meeting at this moment.
Oh yeah, okay, sir.
All right. Thank you so much, everyone. We'll meet tomorrow. Please be on time.